Whew, it's time. No, it's past time for Booger's Pick of the Week. You see, I didn't get to do my video Friday and Saturday. I was busy. I wasn't around the house. So I was going to do it Sunday, but then I went to bed Saturday and some time gremlins stole an hour of my sleep and I had to get up early. Why do they want to keep messing with the clocks, messing with the time with daylight savings time? Just figure out how y'all want to do it and leave it alone now. Now y'all might be saying to yourself, Booger, now look, it's just 1 hour of sleep. Why don't you just man up and stop complaining about it now? Well, let me tell you why. Because the famed physician and philosopher, Dr. R. Teeple, he once said that, you know, when you lose that 1 hour of sleep because of the time change, it's actually mathematically and scientifically and medically equivalent to losing 32 hours of sleep in one 24-hour period. And I know that's some complex mathematics, but it works out. And see, his rationale, Dr. Teeple's rationale for that is that you see time change and daylight savings time sucks, brothers. And that's not Doc Booger's words. Doc Booger don't use crude language like that, but that's the words of Dr. R. Teeple, and I stand by his words. Now, stop messing with the clocks. But anyway, I'm going to do my best to talk about some music I listened to last week. Let's talk about some records old Doc Booger found at the thrift store recently. Oh boy, I was geeked out to find Dick Schory's new percussion ensemble music for bang, boom, ba-boom, whatever, and harp. I've been looking for this LP for a while in the thrift stores and wherever. I found a few copies, but they were always trashed and scratched up. But finally, I found a great copy that sounds good, and it's a stereo copy, RCA Living Stereo. But look at Richard. He's real proud. He's real pleased with himself, with all of his instruments. Got all those percussion instruments, and as the title would suggest, it is a very percussion-heavy ensemble with different drums, vibraphone, xylophone. We've got banjo. I think some guitars in there, some harp, of course, mostly stringed instruments for the melodic instruments, and then, you know, mallet instruments. I have kind of a mixed response to this one. I was expecting something a bit different. I think I was expecting more of a studio recording, sort of a zany late 50s studio percussion album. And instead, they recorded this in a concert hall. And it almost sounds like a really good college concert hall band that's playing in a competition. And, you know, that's not a bad thing to hear now. Old Doc Booger was in a high school band once. I know how to play in a concert band. But it's just a little more tepid than I thought it would be. Not quite as exciting, but hey, the engineering is great, and I liked the tunes. I probably need to go back and listen to it when my expectations aren't getting the best of me now. And then we got old Henri Rene's Riot and Rhythm, Jack. Whew! This one was great. I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of it, but man, Henri Rene, this is somehow the first of his albums that have landed in my collection. He really should be regarded in the same conversation with Esquivel, Les Baxter, and other great space-age swinging bachelor pad artists. This is a fantastic album. It's just swinging, Jack. You're not going to find a cooler swinging bachelor pad record in the dollar bin at the thrift store, Daddy. This is it. Now, it's not an RCA Living Stereo. It's a motto, but it's still awesome. It's Les Baxter. He's back now. He's doing some more soundtrack music. This time for some early 70s or late 60s Edgar Allan Poe TV specials. Now, with Vincent Price, you got Cry of the Banshee on side A. On side B, you got different Poe short stories. And there's not a lot of repetition on this album. You've got a lot of different themes. So it's a great bang for your buck. It's not just like one motif recycled a bunch of times. In 2 words, it's tense, it's beautiful. This is some of the best Les Baxter soundtrack work that I've ever heard. He really brings it with these soundtracks. I think he always brought it. Now, his solo albums are great, but they kind of stay within world of exotica and some similar themes. It's really awesome to see him apply himself to these soundtracks, really throw himself at it. The Cry of the Banshee is just a great, sweet, the climax of it towards the end, you've got this really driving 5/4 rhythm and this creepy melody. And the Sphinx was another big highlight for me. The Sphinx was a great piece of music. So if you're down with Les Baxter and you want to check out his soundtracks and you haven't done so, I think this is an awesome place to start. And now we go all the way to Indonesia back in 1969 for this gem of an LP that's in a genre of music that I believe is called Keronchong or Keronchong. I've butchered the pronunciation and I probably deserve to be whooped for that. But hey, I'll tell you about how it sounds. It's kind of like the Brazilian-inspired, easy-listening music of the 60s that has that sort of Hobeem-flavored influence, but it also has this Indonesian approach to it. So it has kind of your Asian sounds in it that are subtly baked in. You've got organ, you've got electric guitar. It sounds kind of like Hank Marvin from The Shadows. You got heaps and heaps of very dramatic saxophone and flute. They're bellowing it out, Jack. And overall, it's campy, but it's also suave. It's also very charming and relaxing. I could see myself at the dentist in the late 60s in Indonesia getting all my teeth drilled out, and I'd be doing it with a smile on my face, Jack, if this old Keronchong music was playing. I love it. Now, if any of y'all know about this and can recommend more of it, wherever this came from, I want more of it. Give me more Keronchong. I want it now. Please. Come on now. Come on now, please. Tell me where to find some more of this. I need it. Give it to me now. As recorded live on the UCLA campus. Now, this is the Centurions with Surfers Pajama Party. Look at those youngsters. They cutting up and clowning and having a good time at their pajama party. Now, this isn't to be confused with Brian Johnston's surfer band Pajama Party album, which almost looks exactly like this one. Now, it's different. Ooh, boy. This is some hot early 60s surf rock. And you've probably heard this without knowing that you heard it if you've seen the movie Pulp Fiction. I think there's at least 2 songs on here that are used in Pulp Fiction. And it is just really cool stuff. A whole lot of twang, so much so that a few times I thought my stylist might be acting up. This is right up there in the tops of surf albums in my collection. Now, if you read the back, you can read a little bit about the Centurions. And they also, you know, some people buy this and they're like, Pajama Party. Ain't never reckon I've heard of that. Well, they're real nice about cluing you in on the back. You know, they have a little essay for you. Have you ever heard of Pajama Party? Have you ever heard of Pajama Party? Well, if you put this record on, you're going to be there. You're going to be there, Jack. You're going to be there. And in case you want to have a pajama party too, then you need to follow these 7 steps. Actually, no, it's 8 steps that they put here for you. You got to find a large house with a record player, number 1. Number 2, you decorate the inside with balloons, streamers, and various clever sayings on the walls. You best not write anything on Booger's walls, or you're going to be looking at a clever lashing of Booger's belt. You stay away from my walls with your clever sayings, or your not clever sayings. Number 3, find an old bathtub. An old bathtub. Fill it with ice and pour in Coke or orange juice or any soft drink. And any soft drink which can later be spiked as required. Now, I don't know now, like a college dorm room or apartment is not the most sterile environment, especially when it comes to the bathtub. So I'm calling an audit here. Like I'm gonna do a work stoppage. Like that's not safe, Jack. You're gonna get hepatitis or something. Number 4, change all the light bulbs to either red or blue. Number 5, take out all the chairs and davenports and substitute mattresses to sit on. I've got so many davenports, I don't think I have any room to move them around and put mattresses, so I'm out of luck, Jack. Number 6, wear pajamas, preferably in loud colors and design. Number 7, be sure your girlfriend or boyfriend, as the case may be, or whatever, wears pajamas too. Now, if you follow all this directions closely, you're going to have a ball. But don't forget, number 8, the most important rule. After the party's over, you go home, Jack. Don't get confused on those mattresses on the floor thinking that's your bed, lying down next to other youngsters that you'll be facing temptations, you know, like picking your nose while you sleep, maybe farting in the bed. Just don't do it now. You know, sometimes you go on a vacation to the beach, right? And, you know, you're ready to get your body out in the sun and soak up some water, you know, enjoy some nice riparian entertainments. But you don't want to get out in the beach ocean water for some reason. You're just not feeling that adventurous. You don't want to be out there with the jellyfish and the stingrays and the krakens and stuff. And you also don't want to be in a swimming pool with the kids peeing in there and people throwing the football across the pool and listening to country music radio. And you can't just go have a bubble bath. That's too square and you're not enjoying the sun. So maybe that's time that you spin in the jacuzzi tub and have your great weird uncle sit by the jacuzzi and tell you weird stories and play some music for you. And the music that he probably gonna play for you now is Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass Brothers. You know, your weird uncle, he loves that stuff. He gonna play you some Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, and it's gonna be pretty solid. Now, you know, I never really bothered collecting much Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. I think it's kind of a bad influence. I don't smoke Tijuana, and I don't reckon that children should be smoking no Tijuana either. But I'll still give these old boys a chance. You know, it's not like swimming in the ocean. It's not the most adventurous now, but it's tasteful. He gonna toot on that trumpet in a way that make you tap your foot and nod your head. You're not gonna scare anybody off, and it's not gonna be too square now. It is gonna still be happening enough that your cool, weird uncle could listen to it and enjoy it. And it's a good time, Jack. And finally, let me reveal the pick of the week, or rather the pick of last week. And this one has as much to do with how I came about finding it and where it came from as it does the awesome music. My favorite discoveries are those that I find amongst things that I already have, whether it be records, CDs, digital music, whatever. Sometimes I'm just not ready to hear something, and you know, I might forget about it or whatever. But in this case, my late mother-in-law, Lomi, she had this huge stack of 45 7-inch singles that I had in a box. And I hadn't really paid much attention to them before because I'm not much of a vinyl singles guy, or at least I wasn't, until kind of recently I started listening to them more and getting into collecting them. So I went through Lomi's singles, and I was really happy with what I found, and it gave me a lot of good memories of Lomi. And she was a really fun person. She loved to laugh. She loved to make people laugh. She loved to dance. She was just really happy, fun person to be around. Her collection reflects that. You know, she had a lot of Motown stuff, you know, just a lot of dance music, R&B music from the 60s, maybe a few little sappy singles here and there, but for the most part, it's just fun stuff like Lomi. And I found a couple of cool regional things in there that really caught my ear. One of them is this single by Robert Parker on NOLA Records. That's New Orleans, for those of you who are not from around here, don't recognize NOLA. Anyway, Barefoot is the single with the B-side of Let's Go Baby Where the Action Is. And I believe Wilson Pickett covered this Barefootin song and maybe had a hit with it. I think this Robert Parker recording was a hit in 1966 when it was released. Anyways, this is just a great, you know, 60s New Orleans funk soul single. You know, it's kind of like laying a pork chop on top of some white beans and rice. That's good. You know? We're not all about red beans now. We like white beans too, navy beans, you know. But it's just good. Make you feel good. Make you want to dance. And it taught me about high heel sneakers. I didn't know that was a thing, but put on your wig and your high heel sneakers. You know, when you need to go out where the action is and go out there to the club, you need to put your high heel sneakers on, get out there where the action is. And then we've got Willie Joe's Doggy Dog World with the B-side Funny Thing. Now, this was released, this pressing rather, was released in 1980 on Pure Black Soul Records out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Pure Black Soul Records only has 2 releases, and this is one of them. But, you know, though this was released in 1980, the song was actually recorded in 1973 and released on the Washington, D.C. Ebony label under the artist name JoJo Hammett. But it is the same. JoJo Hammett and Willie Joe are the same person. Unfortunately, Discogs didn't quite move that up. I just had to do some private detective work, some music archaeology to figure that one out for myself. But anyway, oh man. Ah, son, this is some funk, Jack. It's gonna get up and get a hold of you and pick you up and start shaking you up. Now, make you gyrate to the rhythms. I can kind of see why it was released on the Baton Rouge, Louisiana label. It really kind of sounds like New Orleans funk.
I knew it. Your love sneaked up on me and got me into your train.
But hey, funk's a universal language. It don't know no state boundaries or regional boundaries. All funk knows is to be funky now, and this is funky, Jack. Get on now, get. That's all I got. Show's over. Say hi to y'all's mama and them for me. Give them a hug for me. Go out, listen to some music and tell me about it, and have a good one. And while you're at it, look in the description for a link to a playlist of choice tracks and a Discogs list of all the stuff that I listened to during last week. Much of it is not featured on this video. Have a good one now. Some Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass while you're doing that. You know,